And this is another half hour of Point of View for the week. Thanks for joining us. Again, this is Josh Barnes, and here's the show where we are unashamed of looking at the crucial questions about the critical issues of our day from a biblical worldview. And I have a really, really interesting issue to talk about today. This is actually posted by a TikTok user who apparently is a member. From my sources tell me this person is a member of the Israeli army, actually, and yet an atheist, which is interesting. You just kind of assume that Israelis, Jewish, are of the Jewish religion. She is an atheist, and my sources tell me she's a member of the Israeli army. I could be wrong about that. I don't. Oh, I haven't personally verified that. However, we're going to show you what she says about the arguments against atheism from the moral argument. This is called the moral argument for God, which says that if you're an atheist, if you don't believe in God, you don't have a basis for morality. And she's going to try to make the case that you do have a basis for morality. And we'll let her make the case. I'll break it down, tell you my thoughts, and then Justin is going to join us on the show, and he's going to also break it down. And he has a very analytical mind, probably even more so than I do. And I expect that he will give us some great content there as well. Before I get started, guys, don't forget, if you want to support the show, you can use the promo code RAM on two specific sites that will help us. You can get White Mountain Munchies from whitemountainmunchies.com. Amazing non-GMO, gluten-free snack food. Resealable pouches. Tastes really good. I literally make no money from this. We're just promoting this for a friend. I'm not saying it's great because I have to. I'm saying it's great because I really, really enjoy this, the White Mountain Munchies. I think they're great, and they're also healthy, wonderful stuff. And you can use the promo code RAM at checkout, and it will actually help promote Right America Media and shows like Point of View. So if you want to help us out, that's a great way to do it. Also, I've told you guys a lot of times about how I love My Pillow. You can now get a discount on My Pillow products by using the promo code RAM, and you're going to support Right America Media and Point of View and shows like this. So we'd love for you to help us out. If you're planning on buying a My Pillow, go buy one and use the promo code RAM. If you're not, you should think about it. It really has. I've always had terrible issues with headaches and sleep, and I've had a lot of sleep issues in my life. And these pillows have really been wonderful, and their sheets are pretty amazing. They're the perfect balance between too silky and too rough. They're just perfect. I love them. Got the sheets, got the slippers, got everything. So check them out. Use the promo code RAM. That's all I'm gonna do. No more shameless promotions for companies that I really do enjoy and love. Let's get to the issue. Let's talk. But before I say anything more, let's let the argument be made from the source, and then we'll respond.
Even God, you have my respect, and that's fine. My problem is with this comment right here, because it begs the question. And this is by your logic. Does your moral compass stem only from a fear of eternal damnation and nothing else? Like, if you didn't have a book that was telling you how to be a good moral person, would your instincts cause you to harm other people or to steal or to be a bad person? Like,
I don't really understand this. Now, some people think this is a convincing argument, what she's presenting here, but to be honest, a lot of people's instinct does lead them to steal or to murder or to be a bad person. I can give you a list of bad people. I mean, look at Hillary Clinton's instincts, right? I mean, Bill Clinton. I mean, I could take you to a jail and show you all the people whose instincts tell them to do bad things. And you know what? I can go through a church building and I can show you a bunch of people whose instincts tell them to do bad things, and they just, for the most part, choose not to act on those instincts. Yes, our instincts are often telling us to do bad things. You know, this is the argument here is actually a sound argument, though it wasn't made well. The quote here is, so if you are an atheist, then you have no moral basis to offer. Now, I don't know if that's the right wording. I think that could be worded better. But the point is very valid. If you're an atheist, you don't believe in God. So where is the basis for morality? What is right and wrong to you if you're an atheist? Just simple question. What's right and what's wrong and why? Well, it is right to be kind to people, they might say, and it is wrong to be hurtful to people, to hurt people. Here's the question: why? What do you mean? It's just natural. It's in us. Why is it natural and why is it in us if there is no God? Why do we have this natural instinct towards what is right and what is wrong? What is the basis for morality? You know, most atheists haven't really thought this through because they refuse to actually think through anything that could disprove what they believe. They're really only in it. Pop atheism is really only in it to try to prove what they already believe. They're not interested in actually finding facts or actually proving anything substantially, right? What Christianity does is we say we have a foundation. Like, we think it's wrong if it's unbiblical. We think it's wrong if God says that it's wrong. And we think that is right if God says that it's right. And therefore, good and evil, moral and immoral, is defined by God. Who defines good and evil in an atheist worldview? I mean, what basis do you have in an atheist worldview to say that Hitler was wrong? How could he possibly have been wrong if he was doing what was legal according to the government, right? He was doing what he wanted to do, what he felt was right. He was following his heart, and yet he was wrong. Hitler was wrong. How could Hitler be wrong in an atheist worldview? Now, atheists might say, well, he wasn't doing what was best for society, but the society that he was in thought that it was what was best for them. They believed it was what was best for society. Well, you know, he was actually hurting people. Yeah, but he was making himself happy. A lot of times we hurt people and do what is right. Isn't it right to hurt a thief and take from him to give back to the person he stole from? Is that not right? Well, then you're hurting somebody. Everyone gets hurt in justice. Justice is going to leave some people hurt. The question is, who's left hurt? Is the person who's done wrong hurt, or is the person who's doing right or who's innocent hurt? And what is innocent, what is right, if you have no foundational basis for what is right and wrong? This is crucial because in our country today, we actually have a push against God, against the foundation for what right and wrong. But yet there's this claim from the left that our morals as a people dictate that we don't attack the Capitol like the conservatives do. Our morals as a people dictate that we are anti-slavery and we pay reparations to minorities, and this is who we are as a people, that we let in illegal immigrants without any sort of regulation. And they appeal to morals to make their points, but yet they deny any basis for morality. Why is it right to accept illegal immigrants? Why is it right to pay reparations to minorities? Why is it right to allow homosexuality in our country? Why are those things right? The left likes to act as if they have a corner on morality. But nobody, I wonder if they ever stop and ask themselves, why? Why is it right? Why is right right and wrong wrong? And maybe, just for a second, if someone on the left would take the time to just think, why do I believe what is right, and why do I believe what is wrong? And could I possibly be wrong about what is right and what is wrong? I think we don't often think about this because it is instinctive in us, which proves the existence of God. The fact that it is instinctive in us what is right and what is wrong proves the existence of God. But that's why we don't think about it often. But from an atheist worldview where everything's just random, everything just sort of sprung out of rocks and life just evolved from non-life, spontaneous biogenesis, right? Then from an atheist perspective, where does right and wrong come from? Why do we have this instinct about what is right and wrong? And how do I have the right to tell someone like Hitler that he was wrong? What gives me the right to do that? Is it what makes me feel good? Is that what's right? Because some people feel good doing terrible, terrible things. You know, is it feelings? Is it my intentions? What is it that makes something right or wrong? We don't, and she says, well, you need a book to tell you what is right and wrong. You don't have instincts that tell you. That's the point. Where do the instincts come from? This is exactly what we're getting at. There's a lot more to say about this, but I think Justin Barnes will help me say it. Justin, what do you think about that video? First thoughts before we actually dissect it and break it down.
I feel really bad for the English language because it took a real blow on that one.
That's true.
Because that's not what begs the question means, but that's probably beside the point.
Explain to everyone what begs the, just so that they don't fall into the same trap. What is begs the question?
Okay, so begs the question is actually a term like if you're discussing, say we're having a discussion about, we're arguing over whether or not you beat your dog. Now, I don't think you even have a dog, but let's say hypothetically here. So I think we're in the clear because you don't even have a dog.
I don't.
And I ask you, how often do you beat your dog? You say, well, hang on a second here. You haven't established that I do beat my dog. That's what we're discussing here. You are begging the question, do I beat my dog? Our discussion is, do I beat my dog? But you're begging the question. You're going on the assumption that the discussion is settled. You're assuming facts, not in evidence. That's what begs the question means. She meant raises the question, which is how most people use the term beg the question nowadays. But begs the question has a meaning. And it doesn't mean raise the question. Anyway.
I didn't know that. Actually, that is news. I just learned that today.
Pet beef.
Okay, let me pull up the video here, and we'll walk through it piece by piece. Any other introductory thoughts before we get started?
It's a really insufficient, like, this is a discussion that's been had for a long time, and it goes a lot deeper than this, but it's a wholly insufficient answer that she gave, and it's misrepresenting the Christian point of view, but we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah, can you briefly lay out for the audience, in case maybe there's some gaps in what I've said, what is the moral argument for God? I feel like it is Jennifer Kaur is the person who had commented to. And by the way, it was Meira Brody on TikTok. At Meira Brody is the TikTok name. And so she was responding to a comment by Jennifer Kaur. I think if I'm trying to squint and see the title there. Jennifer Kaur had commented on one of her videos. And so I don't know that Jennifer Kaur really laid out that moral argument for God very well in that little tiny comment. Can you real quick kind of, what is the moral argument for God?
Well, okay, so quickly, if it's a decimating question for your position, for me to just ask the question why, then that's kind of a problem. But that's the thing, is there is observable morality throughout all of human society. Why? And if you say something is wrong, why? Because as a Christian, we have a foundation that is not just God says, but rather God is. So in the Bible, God is revealed as he is light, God is holy, not that he contains these things, but that is who he is, that is his character. As a reflection of that character, we have morality. Where does morality has to have a grounding somewhere, it has to have a foundation. If you have an atheist perspective, you have no grounding for morality. There is no ultimate ought. There is no actual external requirement on you outside of who has the biggest gun. So whoever can enforce their morality in an atheist worldview, they are actually correct in some sense. But there is no moral ought. There is no absolute. That's where atheism has to lead you to. And that's what consistent atheists like a Richard Dawkins says, there is no right or wrong. It's just blind and pitiless indifference.
Right.
In his worldview, that's consistent. But we know that's not true.
So here is Meira Brody's response to the moral argument for God.
So, first off, if you believe in God, you have my respect.
Thank you, by the way. We'll pause it right there. Thank you. I'm glad that you respect me. Um, that's really not an issue. So,
By the way, the name is
And
Gene for Cores.
is it Gene Vercors? Okay.
I think it's Gene space Vercors is the. I think it's a guy. I looked him up on
I
Twitter.
was I was trying to see. Okay, I see.
that's fine. My problem is with this comment right here because it begs the question.
No, it
There we go.
doesn't.
There we go. So she says,
What
my
she is
problem.
using it as is it's raising the question. Is this the only reason you do that? It's not begging the question. That's raising the question.
So she says, it's okay for you to believe in God, but my problem is asking questions about atheism. Okay, all right. Well, let's. We have a few problems with atheism. So if you've got a problem with our questions,
And this is by your logic. Does your moral compass stem only from a fear of eternal damnation?
Okay, pause. Pause that.
yeah,
Okay. That's a misrepresentation of Christian theology. And it's a hyper boiled down idea. But there is a broad range of reasons you can give why we do what we do. But the question isn't about why do you do what you do. It's is what you do anything? Is it good? Is it bad? The question isn't about why you do what you do. It's what is what you do. See, this is the thing. In Christianity, there's something called theodicy. It's the justification of the goodness of God in light of the problem of evil. Christians have to address this. It's a very deep and rigorous subject. I've taught on it myself. It's been discussed for thousands of years. It's the big problem Christians have to address is why do bad things happen if there's an all-loving good God? Christians have to deal with why does evil exist? Atheists have to deal with does evil exist? That's the point of this question. It's not about why do you do what you do. We can get there in a minute. But is what you do good or bad or anything? That is what this question is about, and she's not getting it. She's saying, is the only reason you do this because God's going to send you to hell if you don't? That's not the point of the question. The point of the question is there something that is actually bad, or is it just, I feel like it's bad, but hey, it's not actually bad? If you rape and murder a child, is that wrong? And on what authority and what basis do you have to say that it is? That's the point.
yeah. Well, and not only that, but Christianity doesn't teach that you do a list of things to avoid going to hell. Like this is not what Christianity teaches. Christianity teaches that we trust in Jesus Christ because we have sinned and we have done wrong, and we are going to hell because we already have done this. And Jesus Christ died to pay the penalty for our sin so that we, by faith, with no works, no doing good things, just by placing our faith and trust in Christ and repenting, we now have salvation from what we deserve. And Christianity says, now because you're saved, because like Jesus has done all this for you, now you should start doing good things too, because Jesus didn't save you to keep doing bad things. But nowhere in that equation is there this idea that you do good to get out of hell. Um, that doesn't work. That's not what Christianity teaches. So her question that is begged is a complete ignorance to actual what Christianity teaches and the actual question that was asked of her, because it was asked,
Right.
like you said, what's the basis for morality, not what happens to you if you are immoral.
Right. And this is the thing, is this answer, as much as people might think it's cute or, slay queen or whatever they might want to say about this. This is a deflection, not an answer. This is politics. If you want to see how politicians work, this is it. Because she's asked, what basically is your grounding for having any objection on a moral basis? And she's saying, well, you just do stuff because you don't want to go to hell. What's your grounding? Give us a grounding for your morality. You haven't done it, and you
Yeah.
can't. So you're going to deflect.
Exactly. And by the way, Meira, if you're listening, watching the show today, which I'm sure is possible, I have no idea. But if you stumble across this episode online at some point, we want you to know we really, really do care about your soul. We want you to believe in God, to escape hell. We're not doing this to bash you, but sometimes in order to help you see where you're wrong, we're going to have to point out that you're wrong. So we're not trying to be rude. We're just trying to help you. And it's helpful if you're giving truth.
And nothing else. Like, if you didn't have a book that was telling you how to be a good moral person, would your instincts cause you to harm other people? Or
Okay, so if you didn't have a book that told you not how to be a good person, would your instincts cause you to harm other people? Now, right there, what she has done is she's assumed that harming people is wrong, which is the whole point. How does she know that harming people is wrong?
Yeah. Also, we went over this yesterday, but in America, statistically, 9.2% of children are sexually abused uh, before they become adults, obviously because they're children. Most common age, 7 to 13. 1 in 5 girls, 1 in 20 boys. So apparently, for the people that committed those 10%, those acts on the 10% of children, it was in their instinct. And in fact, I would argue there's probably a whole lot more people that if it weren't for the government deterring this action, yeah, it would be in their instinct to do a whole lot more of that. It wouldn't just be 10%. It would be a lot more than that. So yes, there is in the instinct of man, I don't know, we could call it, let's just for the sake of conversation, let's call it a sin nature. There is a nature to man where he is inclined to evil in a lot of very evil, disgusting, and creatively bad ways. Like this is why there's war. This is why there's children getting blown up with suicide vests, because that is the instinct of people. Now the question on your table is, can you answer why that's bad? You can't. That's the whole point of the comment.
It is almost as if she's assuming here that your instincts are always good and your instincts are the basis for what is right and wrong. She doesn't actually address the question, what is your basis for right and wrong, which is kind of the question that's being begged, assumed here. The question that's asked to her is, you have no basis, and she's not answering and saying, here's my basis. But she's kind of assuming a basis, and that is whatever is your instinct, whatever you want to do. And that's obviously a bad basis, because you're saying now Hitler was right. You're saying that Ted Bundy was right. You're saying that the worst person you can imagine in the world is right because it was their instinct to do so. That
Right.
can't be our right and wrong definition.
Yeah. And by the way, you actually use question begging correctly. When we're talking about her, the argument here is, does atheism have a foundation for morality? And then she says this thing is bad. That's begging the question. That is begging the question. We are discussing, do you have a foundation for morality? She says a moral claim from an atheist perspective. That's question begging logic. And by the way, I know there's probably some people out there who are going to say, but Socrates' great question. So Christians, you don't have the answer either, because Socrates asked this devastating blow to Christians on morality: do the gods like piety? Because is it pious because the gods like it, or do the gods like it because it's pious? In other words, the question for theists that Socrates has, that your average philosopher is going to say is a devastating blow to religion, is that is the God liking your pious acts because they are pious, or does the God like them and that makes them pious? In other words, you have a problem. Here's your conundrum. Either your God is arbitrary, and so he just likes whatever. So if you have an evil God, then all of a sudden morality is evil because he just likes evil stuff. Or you have a God who is bound by an other standard of morality, and he likes that standard of morality. Therefore, he likes it because it's pious. You see the problem? This is the Socrates question. But I think you'd probably be on the same page with me, and I know we're probably right at the edge, so I'm going to wrap up really quick here. But the problem is, in Christianity, morality isn't a thing that exists outside of God. Morality is a reflection of his very character. So we're not talking about God said to do this arbitrarily, therefore it's good. We're talking about morality is a reflection of who God is. Not he looks at it and says, that is moral, therefore I like it. And not he says, I like it, therefore it's morality. But here is who God is as a person. Morality is not something that exists outside of the character of God. That's the Christian worldview, and Socrates can't touch that. He was dealing with polytheism, with finite gods who are under external standards. But go ahead. I know
No,
I'm probably
you're
overtalking.
absolutely right, because here's the thing. In Christianity, everything stems from God. All things are upheld by the word of his power. Like morality, our instinct for morality comes from the very nature of who God is. And that's why we also call it being godly, because it's being like God for us to be moral and righteous and do what is right. This is why God cannot lie, because lying is wrong, and that's the reason lying is wrong, because God can't lie. God begins, everything begins and ends with God. And that's the problem with atheism, because there's all these things in our world that begin and end with God and make no sense without him. And atheists try to make sense of it without God, and it doesn't make sense. And this is where Meira's argument is breaking down. Let's just finish up. She's got about a few seconds left. We've got 2 minutes left here in the show, so we can finish this up. Let her finish her point.
Person, would your instincts cause you to harm other people or to steal or to be a bad person? Like,
Okay, so that was pretty much actually it.
Yeah.
We just got to get that zoom in on her face. And this is the problem with TikTok, because it's all these
Yeah.
1 minute arguments that everyone just, oh, wow, that makes a lot of sense, until you actually think about it for more than that 1 minute. And so that's what we like to do here on Point of View, ruin your TikTok experience by actually thinking. Last comment, Justin,
Yeah.
we've got a minute and a half left.
Yeah, I'm just devastated and shocked to find that the deepest moral thinking is not found on TikTok. That's a real blow to my trust in humanity. But now the fact is, this has been discussed a lot longer and a lot deeper, and this was question begging logic from someone who said that it was begging the question, and it's not furthering the discussion in any way, shape, or form. So far she has not answered the question of where she grounds her morality.
Yep. And everyone who's watching today, we want to let you know that we're praying for you, praying 3 things. Number 1, that you will know and believe the gospel, that Jesus died on the cross for our sins. We're all sinners. We deserve the judgment of God. Jesus suffered the wrath of God. And if we repent, trust him by faith, he will give us salvation. We want you to know that. We also want you to be right about issues. To be right about issues, you have to be biblical about issues. So we want to help you be more biblical about issues. That's number 3, by watching Point of View more often. Tell your friends and family about it. And we really appreciate your support. Go check out My Pillow and White Mountain Munchies. Use the promo code RAM at checkout. And we'll see you next time on the next half hour of Point of View this week.